Welcome, everyone. This is The Tea with JiJi, brought to you by Femme Underground Film Festival. And today we're going to talk about the American Horror Story season of Cult. And even though it came out in 2017, for this October episode, and filling in along the lines of thriller and horror, I think the season is very important to talk about because it contains so many important themes, especially revolving around strong women. So to start off, to give you the rundown about what the show's about, it's essentially about these people who are finding out the results of the election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. And the day comes when Trump wins, and you see two sides of the situation. You see Hillary supporters being very disappointed and visibly upset, lashing out. And on the other end of the spectrum, you see Trump supporters who are very, very excited and hopeful for the future. So it's based around this family with a brother named Kai, a sister named Winter, and a queer couple starring Sarah Paulson and I don't know the other woman's name, but Sarah Paulson's one of the wives, and then she has a wife in the show with a kid named Oz. So it's a story that pertains to the main relationship between the family of the brother and sister and the queer family, or the queer couple with their kid. So during the season, Kai, who's the main character, he's the brother of the family. He is a full-blown Trump supporter, and his sister, Winter, is a Hillary supporter. And the show definitely gets into political themes, and I don't really want to get into opinions, but I think it is important to highlight what Ryan Murphy was trying to do, because it is really interesting on how women had a role in change and what it was like during the environment of the election and afterwards. So basically you've got the family, like I said, and then you have this queer couple, and they are naturally on Hillary's side, and they're very visibly upset and disappointed. And they're worried because they don't know if their rights are going to be taken away or what's going to happen to them. And they live in a small town in Michigan, I believe, which was like, I don't know if in real life that was a swing state, but I think in the show it was a swing state. And so post the election, there's a lot of murders that are happening around in the town. And people are getting really scared because they're not sure who it is. And it's done by these really creepy clown people. You soon figure out that Kai is the leader of this. And he has been recruiting people to go in his cult so that they can essentially torment people. And I guess just kind of fulfill his wishes for a better society, because in Kai's mind, that's what should happen. And on both spectrums, we have, like I said, kind of extremes on both sides. So you have Kai, who's very extreme in a sense of, I don't even want to label it as conservative, because it's just radical. I think he labels himself as a conservative for some people, but then for others he labels himself as democratic, because his point in the whole time is fear is his best weapon. He gets into people's deepest insecurities and recruits them into his cult by sounding like what they want to hear from a leader. So that's how he acquires everyone, including Sarah Paulson's wife. And that's when things get in a really sticky situation. So Sarah Paulson, who essentially is the main character, at least starts out to be, has extreme phobias in the show. She's got this problem with stuff like clowns and like close holes like a coral reef and bees and everything like that. And she keeps having these episodes where she sees the clowns everywhere and sees all of her phobias coming to attack her. And of course, everyone stages that she's crazy and that she doesn't have a handle on herself, which kind of highlights the theme of woman hysteria. Women have been deemed as crazy even though they've seen the truth in things, or at least that's what I would like to say the metaphor has been. And so that's kind of what Sarah's point is. And as an audience viewer, you genuinely don't know what to think, which is the best part about this show, is that none of it's predictable and you don't know whose side you're on, because Kai, to a certain degree, kind of seems pleasing. But at the same time, later on in the show, you feel so stupid for questioning Sarah. So, like I said, later on, you find out that Sarah isn't crazy and that all of her phobias have been specifically staged and followed through by Kai due to her wife being in his cult and knowing how to terrorize her so they can achieve their goals on kind of mass destruction without Sarah getting in the way of it. A couple things I'd really like to point out, though, is that even though it's a very twisted kind of, I guess, homage, would you say, to the political environment, it's also very progressive in itself for filmmaking, because the two main characters are queer women, and I don't think I've ever seen a show that has queer women with a family. Like there's three people. There's the Sarah, like I said, Sarah and her wife and their son Oz, and I just thought that was absolutely fascinating, especially pertaining to the fact that we've got within the violence and the chaos, you've got stereotypes that do come out that are spoken about in the show. Like, for example, the homophobia that the couple experiences from the town after being outed, or being basically, this guy finds out that they're gay, gets really angry about it, and posts an advertisement online for men to come to their house. And it's just crazy. It's like this, this existing thing. And in this story, it's seen as, another scary event, but in real life, it's like, oh wow, actually that's kind of true. Similar to how women have been seen as hysterical. It's kind of the same thing. So we got that going on. And even, I think the most scary part about this is that a lot of women have been seen as very submissive, and throughout the show, you kind of see the different roles they play as to what they desire. And in the end, you realize that love and motherhood actually rules overall, because Sarah ends up killing her wife to save her son Oz from the cult. And she tears down Kai and kind of exposes him and outsmarts him, which is extremely amazing to see, not only as character growth for her getting over her phobias, but also to see a woman who is faced in this stage of denial that she is finally free. Because when she has no one, she suddenly has this faith in herself to get everything done because she has no choice. And I feel like every woman in their life has faced that before, when they're deemed as crazy or whatever. So yeah, at the end, I think my favorite quote coming down to this is when Kai comes up. He escapes prison. He sees her, and she looks at him square in the face, even though he's got a gun to her head, and she says, "You're wrong. There is something more dangerous than a humiliated man, and it's a nasty woman." So I don't know what kind of better quote you can end that show on, because that's pretty damn accurate. And it's also kind of, I guess, the final revealing note as to what Ryan Murphy has been trying to say. So it's very important, and I'm very thrilled that it's finally in the media. Thank you for listening.